It was my third week in the palace when I was summoned to the throne room again. This time not as a spectacle, but as a participant in the quiet war known as court life. The room didn't look different, but it felt different. I no longer entered as a confused girl in borrowed silk. I entered as Princess Amelia, heir of Valeriana, at least to everyone else. The red carpet was as lush as ever beneath my shoes. Gold-leafed pillars rose toward an impossible ceiling, and sunlight poured in from the high stained glass windows, painting the floor in shards of color. And at the end of the room, seated on twin thrones draped in velvet, waited King Vincent and Queen Rosalind. My supposed parents. They looked composed, regal. Yet I sensed something deeper beneath their calm expressions: hope, weariness, and something I couldn't quite name. As I approached, Sir Cedric's voice echoed behind me.
Your Majesties, may I present your daughter, Princess Amelia.
Still not used to hearing that title. Still not sure if I ever would be. I stepped forward and curtsied. It felt more natural now, thanks to Lady Amara's relentless drilling. Still, my fingers trembled slightly at the edge of my gown. King Vincent rose from his throne and descended the dais. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with lines on his face that had deepened since the day of my arrival. His eyes held a tired warmth, eyes that wanted to believe everything was finally falling back into place.
You look well, Amelia,
he said. I didn't know how to answer, so I simply bowed my head. Queen Rosalind joined him. She was stunning, her presence commanding yet graceful. Her gaze scanned me carefully, searching for something. Memories, perhaps, or truth. I wondered what she saw.
You've returned to us in a time of great need,
she said.
There's much to be done, and much we will teach you, my dear.
The words hit harder than I expected. A part of me, maybe a very small, foolish part, longed to believe I was truly their daughter, that this was home, that I was loved. But I wasn't. And I didn't know if I ever could be. We moved from the throne room into a smaller council chamber, intimate, yet still layered in wealth and expectation. Maps lined the walls, charts of military positioning and economic forecasts. This was where decisions were made. I was offered a seat beside the Queen, and I took it with quiet dread.
your absence left many responsibilities unattended,
said King Vincent, resting his hand on the table.
Now that you've returned, we must prepare you.
They didn't ask if I was ready, because it didn't matter. This kingdom had waited years for their princess to come back, and now that she had, whether it was truly me or not, they were moving forward. A tutor entered the room and unfurled a scroll. The list of daily responsibilities, court appearances, banquets, diplomatic receptions, etiquette refreshers, and even ceremonial blessings. It was endless. I tried to look composed, graceful, noble, but all I felt was exhaustion and guilt. How long could I keep this up? How long before someone saw through me? That night, I found myself in the palace gardens. The moon was high, casting silver light over the trimmed hedges and stone fountains. The air was cool and still. It had become my routine. These nighttime escapes, quiet moments where I didn't have to pretend, where no one bowed or stared or whispered behind a fan. I walked past the roses and toward the hedge maze, where few dared venture in the dark. And I wondered, was Amelia ever here? Did she walk these same paths? Did she have a favorite spot? A secret corner to hide from the weight of expectation? I pressed a hand to my chest. The ache was growing. Not the ache of being caught, but the ache of being accepted for something I wasn't. That's what made it worse. Because the king and queen weren't cold. They were kind. They didn't look at me like I was broken or incomplete. They welcomed me with a love I had only known from my stepfather. It was gentler here, less spoken, more expressed in quiet glances and tender gestures. And I was beginning to care about them. That scared me more than anything. The following week was a blur. Court sessions were relentless. Nobles came in waves, bringing petitions, flattery, warnings, veiled threats wrapped in flowery language. I sat beside the queen and nodded when expected, spoke when asked, and tried to absorb the endless jargon. There was a moment when a young nobleman named Lord Dorian leaned in just a bit too close.
I must say, Your Highness,
He whispered.
you've returned more beautiful than ever, but quieter too.
He smiled as if it were a compliment. I smiled back as if I hadn't caught the hook beneath his words. I was learning, watching, surviving, but not belonging. Etiquette lessons were no easier. Lady Amara drilled me every morning. How to gesture, how to breathe between phrases, how to hold my teacup with intentional grace. I was her prized project, and I often wondered if she suspected the truth. She never said it outright, but her eyes were sharp, her silences even sharper. Still, I endured, because I had no choice. Late one evening, after yet another banquet filled with heavy silks and heavier conversation, I returned to my chambers and collapsed into the chair by the fireplace. Marjorie was already waiting, silent as always, a fresh robe draped over her arm. She helped me undress without a word, then combed my hair in slow, gentle strokes. After a while, she said, almost in a whisper,
You're very strong, my lady.
I looked at her through the mirror. Why do you say that? She shrugged lightly.
Not many would have survived what you've been through.
I couldn't tell if she was speaking to me as Emma or as Amelia. I didn't ask, and she didn't explain. As I lay in bed that night, the golden ceiling high above me, I realized something chilling. I was beginning to lose track of who I really was. And worse, I wasn't sure I wanted to remember.